Men aren't walking away from marriage out of hate. They're walking away out of survival, out of a quiet kind of exhaustion that nobody sees, because men are trained to swallow every emotion before it reaches the surface. People love to make it look simple, like men woke up one day and decided love ain't worth it anymore. But this wasn't some sudden shift. This was years of carrying weight with no place to set it down. Years of watching the meaning of partnership fade into pressure. Years of realizing that the more they tried to show up, the more invisible they became. See, a man doesn't walk away from commitment because he's cold. He walks away because he's tired of offering genuine effort into a space where he feels misunderstood. People say men don't care, but what they don't see is the way a man thinks before he speaks, the way he questions himself, the way he keeps giving chance after chance, because he truly wants stability, peace, and a place where his presence means something. Men don't leave because they stop loving. They leave because they stop being heard. You got to understand something deeper. A man's silence is never random. Silence is his last form of communication. When a man stops explaining himself, stops expressing what's hurting him, stops trying to fight for clarity, that's when he's already halfway out the door. Not because he hates the woman, not because he wants to escape responsibility, but because somewhere in that relationship, the balance disappeared. The energy shifted, the respect got diluted, and instead of building a home, he found himself building excuses just to stay. A lot of men today feel like marriage turned into a contract instead of a connection. A list of expectations without appreciation, a performance instead of a partnership. And it's not that women are wrong for expecting effort. Every relationship needs responsibility on both sides. But too often, men feel like the only time their value is acknowledged is when they fail. The only time someone checks on them is when something goes wrong. The only time someone listens closely is during an argument, and that does something to a man. It makes him question whether marriage is a place where his soul can breathe or a place where his identity gets sacrificed. Men don't want to walk into a commitment where they lose the very things that make them who they are, their purpose, their peace, their confidence, their voice. They don't want to become a background character in their own life story. They don't want to be reduced to a provider whose feelings get dismissed as weakness. They don't want to sign up for a lifetime where their effort is expected, not appreciated. When a man gives up on marriage, he's not rejecting love, he's rejecting pain disguised as love. He's rejecting situations where he tries to communicate and gets mocked for being emotional. He's rejecting environments where everything he says turns into a debate, where his intentions get twisted, where his loyalty gets overlooked. A man wants to come home to peace, not judgment. A man wants to build a life where both sides pour into each other, not where he's constantly proving his worth. And here's the ironic part: men who walk away still believe in love. They still crave loyalty. They still crave companionship. But they want something real, something mutual, something steady. They're tired of narratives that paint them as villains for feeling overwhelmed. They're tired of sacrificing in silence. They're tired of being told to man up when what they need is support, understanding, and a partner who stands with them instead of over them. This isn't a story about hate. It's a story about self-preservation. A man who chooses peace isn't running. He's choosing life. He's choosing mental clarity over constant conflict. He's choosing growth over environments that stunt him. He's choosing to walk away from situations that drain him, even if he once believed they could last forever. Men haven't lost faith in marriage. They've lost faith in losing themselves inside it. And until relationships return to mutual respect, shared effort, and emotional safety, men will keep stepping back, not because they hate marriage, but because they're trying to protect the last piece of themselves that still believes in love. Modern relationships shifted from partnership to performance, and that's where everything started to fall apart. What used to be two people building something solid together slowly turned into two people acting for the crowd, trying to impress the world more than they try to understand each other. Somewhere along the line, the mission changed. Love stopped being about connection and started being about presentation. People don't date to grow anymore. They date to look like they have it figured out. They don't listen to their partner. They listen to the opinions of strangers online. And when a relationship becomes a stage instead of a safe space, everybody loses. See, partnership means we carry the weight together. Performance means one person is always on display, always proving, always trying to check boxes that don't even matter. Partnership means we fight the problem. Performance means we fight each other. Partnership means we build a life. Performance means we build an image. And that image is heavy, fake, exhausting. But people are scared to admit it because looking successful in love has become more important than actually experiencing love. You'll notice how people talk now. It's never, how can we understand each other? It's, what should I say so I don't look wrong? It's, how do I win this argument? It's, what will people think if I forgive? The relationship becomes a competition. Who's more right? Who's more wanted? Who's more independent? Who can care less? Instead of being teammates, they become opponents living under the same roof. Two people who started with good intentions end up keeping score, hiding feelings, protecting their pride at the expense of the connection. And then they wonder why the bond doesn't feel real. You can't build something deep while acting shallow. You can't build trust while performing strength. You can't build peace while fighting for validation. A lot of men feel like they're being auditioned, not loved, tested, not heard, judged, not appreciated. And a lot of women feel like they're competing with expectations they never agreed to live up to. Both sides are frustrated because both sides are trying to be perfect instead of being honest. But you can't love someone while trying to impress them. You can't grow with someone if you're scared to show who you really are. People don't realize how dangerous performance-based love is. When someone only loves the version of you that fits their script, you lose the freedom to evolve. You lose the room to make mistakes. You lose the ability to be vulnerable. Instead of saying, this is who I am today, you start saying, this is who I hope you approve of. And that kills connection faster than any argument ever could. Partnership requires presence. Performance requires applause. Partnership asks, how can we fix this? Performance asks, how can I look right? That's why so many relationships burn out early. They were never built on truth. They were built on the pressure to be something impressive. You see it everywhere. People taking pictures, smiling for the camera, but not talking in real life. People posting quotes about loyalty, but playing games in private. People bragging about their relationship while sleeping next to someone they don't trust. It's all a show, and the show is draining. A real partnership isn't glamorous every day. It's work, sacrifice, forgiveness, communication. It's too imperfect. People choosing each other again and again, not because they look good together, but because they grow better together. But nowadays, people don't want the work. They just want the award. They want the title without the responsibility. They want the feeling without the effort. They want the picture without the process. And until people stop performing and start partnering again, relationships will keep breaking in the same predictable ways. You can't fake consistency. You can't fake peace. You can't fake devotion. A real connection exposes you. It tests you. It humbles you. But it also builds you into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone capable of loving beyond ego. So if you want something real, step off the stage. Put down the script. Stop comparing your relationship to people who only show their highlights. Stop chasing validation from a world that doesn't live in your home. Love doesn't need an audience. It needs intention. It needs effort. It needs presence. And the moment two people decide to show up as themselves, not as characters, the partnership begins again. That's where the real growth starts. That's where the real love lives. Most women hear the silence, but misunderstand the message, and that's where the whole disconnect begins. A man's silence isn't emptiness. It isn't disrespect. It isn't distance for the sake of distance. Silence, for a man, is communication in its most raw form. When words stop coming out of his mouth, it's because everything left is trapped in his chest. And the sad part is, most women take that silence personal. They think he's shutting down because he doesn't care. They think he's pulling away because he's done. They think he's avoiding them because his heart's somewhere else. But if they looked a little deeper, they'd see that silence usually means he's hurting, not disappearing. Men are raised to keep their struggles tucked away, to hold everything inside until it stops shaking, to deal with pressure privately, to cry in the dark, then wipe their face before the lights come back on. So when a man goes quiet, it's not because he's choosing to withhold love. It's because he's trying to protect the little bit of strength he has left. Silence is how he stabilizes himself, how he stops conversations from turning into conflicts, how he avoids saying something he'll regret. But most women never learn that language. They hear the silence and assume the worst. What they don't see is that a man often goes quiet after he's tried to speak and felt unheard, after he's opened up and got dismissed, after his feelings were minimized, mocked, or thrown back at him in an argument, after he tried to explain his needs and got labeled too sensitive, too dramatic, or too emotional for a man. That's when silence becomes his only safe option. Not because he wants distance, but because he wants peace. Women misread silence as a sign of disinterest, when in reality, it's a sign of overload. A man who doesn't care won't bother to stay quiet. He'll walk away without hesitation. But a man who's silent while still standing by your side is a man trying to figure out how to hold on without breaking himself in the process. That silence is his way of saying, I'm struggling, but I'm trying. His way of saying, I need space to breathe, not space to leave. His way of saying, talk to me differently if you want me to answer. Men communicate through action, energy, presence. When those shift, the silence is telling a story. But most women only listen to tone, not intention. They react to the quiet instead of understanding it. They push harder when he retreats. They demand explanations when he's too numb to give one. They assume he's pulling away, so they pull away too. And before they know it, both sides are protecting themselves instead of protecting the relationship. A lot of women hear silence and think it's about them. He doesn't love me anymore. He's bored. He's hiding something. But most of the time, that silence is about him, his stress, his fear, his disappointment, his unspoken needs, his bottled up emotions, his internal battles he doesn't know how to express. The message behind a man's silence is usually simple. I need understanding, not pressure. I need peace, not interrogation. I need patience, not assumptions. I need to feel safe too. Men aren't robots. They break. They get overwhelmed. They get tired of carrying everything alone. But they've been conditioned to believe that expressing this makes them weak, makes them less of a man, makes them difficult to love. So they choose silence, the only emotion society doesn't punish them for. But silence also becomes the language that hurts them the most because women misinterpret it as rejection instead of reflection. They don't realize that silence is often a request. Meet me where I am. Talk to me gently. Give me space to find the words. Show me you can handle my truth. When a woman learns to listen to silence, really listen, she starts hearing everything he's been trying to say. She starts recognizing the moments he needs reassurance. She starts noticing the weight he's been carrying. She stops reacting and starts understanding. And that's when everything changes. Because the moment a man realizes his silence is finally heard, he starts speaking again. Not in fear, not in shame, not in self-defense, but in trust. And trust, that's the message behind the silence most women never knew was there. Commitment hasn't died, trust has. Men don't fear marriage. They fear what marriage has turned into in a world where loyalty is unpredictable, intentions are blurry, and people switch up faster than seasons. It's not the idea of building a life with someone that scares men. It's the fear of investing everything they have into something that might collapse the moment they stop being useful. Commitment is still in a man's heart. What's missing is the safety to give that commitment without feeling like he's gambling his future, his peace, and his identity. See, a man will commit deeply when he believes the foundation is solid, when he feels the bond is rooted in honesty, respect, and real partnership. But today, trust feels fragile. Too many people are loyal until it's inconvenient, loving until something shinier comes along, present until they get bored. And men have watched this pattern repeat, not once, not twice, but enough times to start questioning everything they were taught about love being a lifelong anchor. Most men aren't afraid of standing at the altar. They're afraid of what comes after. Afraid of being in a relationship where consistency fades. Afraid of loving someone who changes the moment they feel secure. Afraid of being judged for their mistakes, but expected to forgive everyone else's. Afraid of being taken for granted, drained emotionally, or replaced when life gets tough. Men have seen too many examples of marriages that look perfect from the outside, but feel like prisons on the inside. And that's what makes them hesitate, not marriage itself, but the risk of losing themselves inside it. Trust is the backbone of commitment. Without it, everything shakes. Men don't want to sign up for a lifetime where their vulnerability is a weapon used against them. They don't want to risk opening up only to be thrown under the bus during an argument. They don't want to pour their soul into someone who treats their loyalty like an option instead of a responsibility. And the truth is, a lot of men have been taught that sharing their fears, their emotions, their insecurities makes them weak. So instead of expressing how much betrayal scares them, they just step back and call it not ready. But deep down, they're not avoiding marriage. They're avoiding heartbreak at a level they might never recover from. A man needs to trust not just the person he's with, but the environment he's stepping into. He needs to know he won't lose his peace trying to keep the relationship alive. He needs to know his efforts won't get overlooked. He needs to know he can be vulnerable without being judged, honest without being punished, consistent without being exploited. When trust is present, a man will give everything. But when trust is shaky, every step forward feels like a risk with no guarantee. And trust doesn't disappear because of one moment. It fades slowly. Every broken promise, every lie disguised as protection, every time someone dismisses his feelings, every argument where his intentions get twisted, every moment where respect gets replaced by ego. These are the things that make a man pull back. These are the moments that make him say, I'm not sure. It's not fear, it's caution. It's not avoidance, it's self-preservation. It's not a lack of desire, it's a lack of safety. Men don't want temporary love packaged as forever. They want something that aligns with their purpose, not something that confuses it. They want a woman who's consistent, not conditional. A partner who knows how to build with them, not compete with them. A bond that grows in storms, not one that cracks under pressure. And until they see that, until they feel that kind of trust again, they'll keep stepping back, not because commitment is dead, but because commitment is sacred. And men don't want to give something sacred to someone who treats it casually. Deep down, men still believe in marriage. They still believe in loyalty, family, structure, unity. They believe in waking up next to someone who feels like home. They believe in building a legacy with a woman who matches their energy, their ambition, their intentions. But belief alone isn't enough. What they need, what they're searching for, is trust. Trust that the person beside them won't switch up. Trust that love is deeper than convenience. Trust that their heart won't be handled carelessly. So no, commitment hasn't died. It's waiting for trust to make its way back into the conversation. Waiting for loyalty to mean something again. Waiting for relationships to feel safe enough for men to give the best parts of themselves without fear of losing everything in the process. The solution isn't blaming each other, it's rebuilding partnership with mutual responsibility, honesty, and growth. Because pointing fingers never built anything. Blame doesn't fix wounds, it just deepens them. And the truth is, most relationships today aren't breaking because people are bad, they're breaking because people are scared, stubborn, defensive, and unhealed. Everybody wants to win the argument, but nobody wants to win the relationship. Everybody wants to be understood, but nobody wants to understand. Everybody wants loyalty, but they don't want accountability. And that's why everything keeps falling apart. A real partnership starts with two people looking in the mirror, not across the room. It starts with owning your flaws, not highlighting your partner's failures. It starts with saying, yeah, I played a part in this too. That kind of honesty is rare now because ego is loud, pride is heavy, and vulnerability is uncomfortable. But without vulnerability, you can't build anything authentic. Without accountability, you can't build anything strong. Without honesty, you can't build anything that lasts. People forget that love is a responsibility, not something you claim, something you maintain. It takes effort. It takes intention. You have to show up on the days you feel like quitting. You have to listen when you want to defend yourself. You have to communicate when you'd rather shut down. You have to forgive when holding a grudge would feel easier. That's what partnership looks like. And if two people can't carry the load together, the relationship will stay lopsided until one of them collapses under the weight. Growth is messy. It's uncomfortable. It exposes the parts of you that you spent years avoiding. But if you want something real, you have to be willing to stretch. You have to be willing to let go of habits that sabotage your love. You have to outgrow the version of yourself that reacts out of trauma instead of intention. And that goes for both sides. It can't be one person evolving while the other stays stuck. It can't be one person giving while the other keeps taking. It can't be one person healing while the other keeps bleeding on them. Mutual effort is the only way the foundation stays strong. Honesty isn't just about telling the truth. It's about telling the truth with clarity and respect. A healthy relationship is built on transparent conversations, not silent expectations. You have to say what hurts, what scares you, what you need, what you're missing. Not in anger, but in vulnerability. Most people avoid these conversations because they're scared of conflict. But avoiding truth creates bigger conflict later. Honesty is the oxygen that keeps love alive. Without it, the relationship suffocates slowly. Mutual responsibility means both people understand that love is a team sport. It's not your fault or my fault. It's our responsibility. It's recognizing that you both bring strengths and weaknesses to the table. It's learning how to complement each other instead of compete with each other. It's learning how to fight problems instead of fighting each other. And when both sides carry that mindset, the relationship becomes a partnership, not a battlefield. Blame is easy. Growth is hard. Blame feels good in the moment because it protects your ego. Growth feels uncomfortable because it challenges it. But the couples who last, the couples who thrive, are the ones who choose growth over comfort, the ones who admit their wrongs without making excuses, the ones who communicate openly without turning everything into a war, the ones who learn how to listen without trying to win, the ones who understand that love isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And here's the real truth. You can't rebuild a relationship if only one person is trying. You can't grow if only one person is planting seeds. You can't heal if only one person is cleaning the wounds. Both sides have to show up. Both have to put in the work. Both have to want the solution more than they want the spotlight. When two people take mutual responsibility, honesty becomes natural, growth becomes steady, peace becomes normal, love becomes safe again. And the relationship doesn't just survive, it transforms into something stronger, deeper, and real enough to last. Because the answer has never been blame. The answer has always been partnership. Two people willing to rise together instead of fall apart separately. That's how you rebuild. That's how you grow. That's how you make love last in a world where so many quit early.